So I found my clutch plate bolts. I just wire wheel them. If you notice, some bolts are threaded all the way, okay, but the clutch ones have a little flat on them. And that's important because the plate of the clutch is, you don't want threads rubbing on that. So, even though I bought new ones, they won't be here for a week. What the heck? I'll use the old ones. And with some thread locker and torque them to the low end of the torque spec, which is what? Pressure plate, 25 pounds. So I will double check that one more time. 25 pounds. Because I don't want to break one off. All right, clutch is on. So the next step is to install the transmission. And I'm going to move the engine around the other direction, block it a little bit differently, and go from there. Okay, got the engine on blocks, got the tranny chained up. So now we'll move it into place and get her all lined up. I'm going to put a little lube on the input shaft spindle, a little lube on the gears, the splines, just a little, okay? And we'll get those two married together. Boy, that's easier said than done. You know, it's somewhat lined up. I'll spin this a little bit more this way, but just doesn't want to engage. You know, you spin the tranny, which is supposed to line up the... Easier said than done. Pretty close to lined up, like here. And I try pushing, I try rotating the transmission to line up the splines. Eventually it'll go. Okay, I felt it going. So now we'll put the 4 bolts in, slowly tighten it up, and then take them out and put Loctite on, and then tighten them up to the torque, which is engine block to bell housing, 30 to 40 foot-pounds. We'll go 30. Okay, we're together. So next I'll put on the spline for the universal joint and the drive shaft. That goes on. Then I will put the starter on, get that mounted. There's a couple hoses that go on here, this one, and this one. This goes to the distributor. I'd like to get that on and get that on. I don't know yet. I think I can get to these bolts here and here. Yeah, I can get to those. So I didn't know if I needed to take these off and do it in a different order, but I think this is the way to go. So it's about ready to go back in the hole. Cool. Okay, drive shaft U-joint spline is on. Got the starter on. I couldn't put the distributor in and get this hose on. Here, this goes to the distributor, but I'm missing this fitting. Goes to that one right there. I thought this came ready to go, but it didn't. This is the old one here. It would go into the block and then into the distributor. I mean, I could use the old one, but yeah, figured it was time for a new one. But I don't know what I'm doing there. Something's weird. I still think it needs a fitting. I'll have to look around. I might have one. Okay, let's get this thing outside. This is as far as I got today. I ran into another showstopper. This is the bracket that holds the transmission on. It bolts under the frame with 5/16 diameter 24 threads per inch, which is fine thread, and those 6 bolts are missing. I have searched and searched and searched, pulled everything out here, went through these boxes like 3 times. They've just disappeared. So I'm going to have to roll this frame back under storage, put the motor back in the shop, and go to town tomorrow and get 6 bolts. We need to get some groceries anyway, so that's the excuse. What a bummer. It's all ready to put it in, but they're gone, so time to put everything back where it was. Okay, here's the fitting. Took it off the parts car engine. That's cool. Clean that up. And what I noticed when I took the hood off is that this hood has some horsehair filler in here. Here and here and here, here. And my other hood doesn't have that, so I need to look into that. With that said, I'm done for the day. Time for a beer. And do you remember this? Well, now I should get a cup that says Super Bowl 60 champions. Maybe a cap. So, going to town tomorrow.